Hey everybody, Lisa King here. I am popping on to do some chicken pot pies, some individual lower calorie for us, just cutting back everything. I'm going to make them in these cute little square ramekins, okay? And there's really not much to this. We've got some butter, flour, onions, some chicken stock, some milk, frozen veggies, and 2 cups of shredded chicken from our roaster. So we're gonna get started. I've already cut the dough for the ramekins. So one way to cut it back, I took a pre-made pie crust, you know, the Pillsbury ones. I cut out the shape of the ramekin, and then I rolled it really thin and put that in the bottom of the ramekin. So right now, both of my ramekins are prepped, okay? Then I cut out a little bit smaller square than the ramekin, rolled it really, really thin so that we just had the taste of crust, but not the yummy thick crust that you have on top of your pot pies. Those are over there, so I'll show you those once we assemble them. We're gonna set the temperature to 400. So while that's preheating, we're gonna get started with our filling. So this part takes a little time. It's not that it's hard, but you have to let it thicken before you put the chicken and the frozen veggies in. We are using, well, I'm using onions, and then I'm using frozen peas and carrots, okay? And then as far as seasonings, you can put whatever you like in. I'm using garlic powder, thyme, salt and pepper. Not a lot of salt, but salt and pepper. Also using a low sodium chicken stock. And again, we cut everything back, and this is actually cut back even more because it's only for 2 ramekins, but I'm using a 1/2 cup of low sodium chicken stock, a 1/2 cup of milk, 1.5 cups of frozen veggies, and the rest that I'm going to show you. So if you want the whole recipe, let me know. So we're going to start out with melting 2 tablespoons of butter. So when you mix butter and flour together, it makes like a roux. It helps thicken up the sauce. So first, though, we're going to season the sauce with onions. And you would put anything, like even if you had carrot, like you weren't using frozen veggies, you can use carrots and onions and celery, whatever. But this is the part you would want to put the uncooked portion in because you want it to flavor the sauce, plus you also want to cook it so you're not getting hard pieces, okay? So once this melts, we will get in our onions, and then we'll just cook them till they're softened, little translucent there. And then we'll add our seasoning and our flour, and we'll create that roux, okay? That thickened sauce, well, the thickened sauce base, all right? Hi, Elena, how you doing? So we're going to add in our onion. I've used about 1/3 cup just to have a little flavor in it, because again, these ramekins are not that big. I might not even be able to fit all of this in them. Okay, so we're just going to cook these for a couple seconds here. And I'm going to add my seasoning at the same time as the flour. So that part is what's going to take the longest. Once we get that mixture and all the whiteness from the flour out so that you don't taste any raw flour, then we'll start gradually adding in our milk and chicken stock, and that will take the longest to totally thicken up before you add the rest. Then after that, it's downhill. From there, you just add it all to your ramekins, put the top on of your pie crust, and bake it. So easy peasy. I've not made this version of the recipe before, so hopefully it works. Let me see here. So put as little or as much seasoning. It's up to you. I always like to use thyme when we're doing chicken. Okay. Some salt and pepper. And I won't use a lot of salt. We're not big salt people. So just a squirt there. All right, now we're going to add in our flour. And again, you want to make sure that there's no visible white portions of flour in your sauce here, because then you'll get that raw flour taste, and you don't want that. So just keep mixing the butter around with it. And once all of that's out and this thickens up a little bit, we're going to start adding in the rest of our liquids. Again, keep stirring. Lower my heat a little bit. So we're going to keep stirring it, and it will thicken up, okay? So the longer you cook this portion, it will get more color and flavor to it. So I'm just going to cook it a couple extra seconds here while the white from my flour is out already. There you go. I think that's good. Okay, so now we've got a half a cup of low sodium chicken stock and a half a cup of milk. You could use almond milk or any kind of lower, but you want some fat in it because you want it to thicken up and give it some good flavor. Okay. So even though it looks watery right now, keep stirring it. It will thicken up eventually. I might have to raise that now. And once we get it to the thickness that we like, you know, the way that the chicken pot pies are, it's kind of gelatin-ish. Then we'll put in the rest of our ingredients, our frozen carrots and peas and our shredded chicken. So that roaster I got the other day helped us for 2 meals. So we were able to have that chicken soup yesterday, and we actually had that for lunch today. And then the rest of the chicken roaster, 2.5 cups, 2 cups or so, I shredded for this. So again, I hope that it'll be enough. It won't be too much to fill these ramekins. Being that they weren't round, they were a little hard to cut to get them to the exact shape and keep them thin, because again, we're trying to cut down on the crust part, which is my favorite part. All right, we'll just keep cooking this, kind of making like a gravy, right? So what you all having for dinner tonight? We had some really good turkey, I don't know what you call it, turkey melts, turkey, they look a little tacos. I had made turkey with avocado and green peppers and a little tiny bit of cheese to hold it together. It was absolutely delicious. And I made that in the stovetop for lunch, and I had some strawberries. Still trying to be good. Okay, I'm going to lower this a little because I don't want the milk to burn, but it's getting nice and thick in here. So when you make a larger, I would normally make this in a large pot baking dish and use a whole bunch more butter and flour. But again, we're making this one portion and light. So you want to make sure this is the thickness that you want before you put everything else in it, because that's going to actually cool it off. And I may season this up a little bit more once I get everything in there. I want to see some pepper in there. If you see that it's burning because you can't leave it, then just turn your heat down a little bit. It's looking beautiful. And when we put the frozen veggies in, it'll thin it out a little bit too. All right, I'm going to start adding all my stuff in here. Lower that just a tad bit more and get my pot holders out before I forget. Okay, so we've got 1.5 cups of frozen peas and carrots. If you like corn in your pot pies, by all means put it in, but we don't. Okay, and we're just gonna mix this all in, heat it up, because the chicken and obviously the veggies were cold, right? There we go, it's looking beautiful. And we'll season it a little bit more once everything is covered with this mixture. I have a feeling that this is all not going to fit in these ramekins, but we'll try. It looks really, really good. There we go. want to make sure it's got some good flavor. And you could use an onion powder too. I'm not a big fan of onion powder. I don't know why, because I love onions. All right, I'm going to shut this off the heat. And let this just cool for a sec so that we can get the rest of our setup ready. So let's see here. What can we do? Now I've put my ramekins on a cookie sheet so that it'll be easier to get it in and out of the oven. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see what you can see. Okay. And we'll take our pan here. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's all done. Here we go, guys. All right. Let me see here. How am I going to do this? So all it said was to take it and put it into your pie crust. Into your ramekins. Actually, I'm going to split this so I kind of have the same amount. And these aren't going to be like totally overfilling. And if the crust doesn't fit perfect, that's fine, because sometimes people will just use like biscuits. So you can use whatever you like. Okay, one down. So the recipe is supposed to be for 2 people. So I'm going to try to use all this filling if I can. Okay, and once we get that top on, we're going to put some slits in the top so that we could vent it while it's cooking. And then I'm going to brush on an egg wash so it'll get some nice color. So as it's cooking, it says about 35 to 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes. About 30 minutes, I'm going to go in and cover the edges because you don't want the edges of the crust to burn. Okay. So if it's about 2 cups, we're each getting about 1 cup of chicken. Okay. And I think that looks good. All right. Here comes the moment of truth. I don't know if I can do this, but I really rolled these thin. So this is the toppers, okay? I rolled them really thin. We're gonna place them over and try to fold them over. Don't worry if it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't have to. It could have a nice rustic look. We can use a fork and put some little crimps in it if you like. But I'm trying to overfold the top to the bottom behind it. All right. And you could easily make your own crust. I was just not feeling up to it today, so I went the old Pillsbury way. So the Pillsbury and the flour and, well, not even the butter. The butter's not too bad. But those are going to be the worst parts of our meal here. Okay, I'm just going to do a little crimp just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then don't forget, we're going to put a slit in them on the tops so that they can vent. And don't worry if it oozes out the sides. It's not a big deal. It's one dish, and we've got the protector here. So right now, this is what it looks like so far. We're going to put a little, there we go, make a little star. Okay, I'm going to put that guy aside so I could do the second one. And this will be dinner. So we've made the top really thin so that we're not eating as much of the crust, but you're still getting a taste of it. So we've been finding that at least if we can have a taste of our favorite things, we're happy. It honestly does not feel like we've been dieting, but I do miss some of my things. But we've been finding cool ways around it. Let me get that guy. I have a feeling he's going to He's gonna ooze. And that's it. Be sure to post below what you guys are making for dinner. I always love new ideas. Trying to find something nice and comforting for this crazy cold weather. But I've only thought as far as tonight. And then I have to find something else for the week. Alright, almost done. This guy's proving much harder than the other one. Okay. I really hope this tastes good because I've been having such a craving for chicken pot pie. We usually do the Marie Colander ones, which we like, but super, super high in sodium and other stuff. And I did butter the dishes just in case. The recipe didn't say so, but I did do it just in case. All right, so we're done. Let's do a little slit here. Put this guy back on. And then we are going to do an egg wash on top. There we go. So just a little egg yolk and water. And rub it all over the top of the crust. It'll get a nice golden color. I may have to tweak this depending on how it comes out. But I'm thinking next time to either cut down the chicken a little bit or increase the sauce a little bit because I like it a little bit. So hopefully it doesn't dry out. But we'll find out how that works. And just as a precaution here, because we're going to be putting a tinfoil topper on it, I'm going to just measure out that now so I don't have to mess with it when it's super hot. Okay. Let's see here. I always do this wrong, but I'm going to try it anyway. I always cut it wrong, just like those little snowflakes, right? Which I know I did it wrong already. But it's close. It's very close. So, alright, that'll be good. One. And it doesn't have to cover it perfectly, it's just to cover the edges so they don't burn on me. And that's pretty much it. I know, extremely exciting, I'm sure, but that's what we're having tonight. So what do you guys usually put into your chicken pot pie, or do you even make chicken pot pie? There we go. All my stuff is made for round containers. These are my new ones. Aren't they cute? I got them at Marshall's for like $2-3. But anyway, these are going in the oven, 400 degrees. For about 30 minutes, then I'm going to cover the tops. I'll check on them before though. They look like they're starting to get too brown already. I'll put this on sooner. Probably keep it in about 40-45 minutes. Don't forget, everything inside is already cooked, so we're really just cooking the pie crust. All right, so I'll be right back. Let me do this, and then I will show you a picture later once it's all done.